Alright, so welcome everyone to this lesson. So in the previous lesson we discussed about the creation process of the particles, but the only issue was that the particles were not following the cached mesh, and they're not able to follow the primary chunks of the part to the mesh. Okay, so now if I'm gonna play the timeline for you, you could see that again the process is very good, but we do have an issue. So now it's time to clear the issues. So what we're going to do in this case, we need to select the particle system, and we need to select the mesh, the cache mesh, and we can go to the particles and can hit the goal. Make sure that the goal width should be completely 1, and we don't need to have any transform goal, and we can create that up. So once we are done with this process, if you're going to play the timeline, you could see that alright, the particles are now again getting encapsulated all across the surface of this cache mesh. And the good thing is also that the particles are also falling along the direction of the mesh. But the negative thing that I am realizing here is that this weird pattern of the particles. These particles are not actually, following or making some organic pattern. By the organic, I must have to say that the particles should be spreading all across the surface of the mesh, which they are not. Alright. So, to address that, we could go to the particle system. First of all, let's just name that up. Okay. So, let's say we're going to name for ash underscore goal. Okay, we're gonna hit Control A. Now the important thing that you must notice in the beginning of the previous lesson was that I asked you to take care of this attribute that called the need parent UV. So a very important thing that we're gonna do with the help of this really very awesome feature of the Maya, we're gonna use the goal U and goal V per particle information, and we'll be directing to the parent U and V. So what it'll gonna do, these two great per particle attributes will going to be get spread all across the information of the UV, which is over here. Alright, so that's very great. So what we have to do, we can simply hit Control A, can go down under the particle mesh and can go for the general, and we need to click the goal U, goal V, and the parent U and parent V. These 4 PP attributes are already very important, and we need to click OK. Alright, so after that we could see that there's something called the goal U and goal V and parent U and parent V. So let's go to the goal U first, and under the expressions editor I can first bring it over here, and let's say ash underscore goal shape dot parent U. And guys, you need to be very careful because this is, we are writing the mel, and this is absolutely the case sensitive, so we need to be very careful. Okay, so Control A, Control C, and enter, and let's say paste that up. So if we're gonna replace the U with the V, and over here goal U to the goal V, and let's say we hit the create option. Alright, everything is set. So now if I'm gonna play the timeline, you must notice something, that now the particles are getting spread all across the surface, and of course they are also following the mesh, the cache mesh. Alright, but the only one problem, again, I can see that the particle count is very less, so there's not a big issue. I can go to the emitter, I can further go to the graph editor, and can crank that up. Instead of 50,000, I can go for approximately, let's say, 70,000 particle count, which is really very high figure, no problem. And now if I'm gonna play the timeline, you could see that the particle resolution is very big, and now it is at least able to encapsulate the entire surface. Alright, it could be possible that in future I'll going to crank up the value, because it is here showing me 32,000 or 33,000 particles something, which is I think it's a little bit It's not like that sufficient to create a very detailed realistic effect. So I think so we're gonna keep this value approximately to maybe 100,000 or maybe 80,000. All right. So for now this effect is completely okay, and I found it very good. Now the next thing would be to emit these secondary chunks, or you can say the secondary particles from these primary red particles, which I have named ash_gold. Alright, so if I'm gonna hide the mesh, you could see that the particles are really going properly. And just for a better visual appearance, I can go and click the point size to the 1, or if just one wish, you can see with the help of the streak as well. This is again very interesting, but as you know the nature of the streak, it will appear only if the velocity is there, otherwise they're not going to appear. So again we'll come back to the point mode, which is very good. Now I'm gonna roll back the timeline, and the process is very easy. We need to select the ash_gold and can go to the particles, let's say the emit from the object. Here we need to be very careful and precise regarding the settings. Let me just reset them. First of all, we're going to go to the emitter type. We'll like to go for the directional. Rate will like to keep it a little bit slow in the beginning because the particle count will very going to be massive. However, we don't worry about this because Maya 2015 is really coming with very nice GPU options, so the particles are now very fast. But still, we're going to keep the rate to a little bit lower. The distance is very important over here, the distance and the direction. We'll have to add the opposite direction to the flow of the particle. So here the flow of the particle is taking place along the direction of the x positive. We're going to give the direction to the x negative. So let's say in the direction x, we can write the negative x value. The spread is again important, so we'll go for 0.35 or maybe 0.25 maybe. Speed is again a good attribute. We're going to give it to 5, and let's say create. So here comes the new particle, which is by the name of particle 1, and we also do have the emitter 2 attached to that. So the particle 1 need to be get changed, and let's say we're going to go for the second underscore ash. Okay, that would be easier for me to remember the names. And I think so if we're going to play the timeline, some terrible thing will going to get happen in front of you. So don't need to worry for that, because we will again gonna have another good expressions to control the rate of emission of these particles. Alright, so I think so this point must be clear to all of you guys. So we'll be taking a pause. Now we're gonna go to the next lesson, and we're gonna prepare some more better expressions to control the secondary particle effect. Alright, so I'm gonna hit the pause.